So let's say you want to work on an interior space. So just pick this room in my house, my clay studio. And I want to depict this space. Now, if I drew a picture that was completely realistic, I would end up with a really messy picture, right? The photograph of this space looks messier than it feels when you're really there. And so what I can do in my sketch, several things I can do. I can eliminate some of the clutter. So if I want to draw my wedging table here, I definitely want to make sure I use blue, because that's an important element of the work, right, of the object, this table here that we're looking at. But I also am going to get rid of all this stuff on the top. I'm going to get rid of the stuff on the top. I'm probably not going to show you the stuff on the bottom. I'm definitely going to get that chair out of the way of my drawing and the plastic from behind it. And suddenly I have a pretty simple form. It's just a box, two squares on the top, right? And the whole thing is blue. And suddenly it's a distinctive form. Now, how about over here on my work shelves? I want to show you my work shelves, but what a mess. I've got a lot of stuff on there. Some of it's dumb and it doesn't need to be there. I can just eliminate that. But this area is maybe important to the design. This is the shelf of stuff I'm working on glazing, plus one that I'm not. And so what I could do is, instead of painting or drawing all of those things, I could draw maybe 6 or 5 of the objects. So I could show, 2 mugs and 2 of these little screaming faces. And that would suddenly make this shelf in the drawing a lot different than the original, but it would still communicate what that shelf is for. It's still going to show me what is essentially a map of my room with an easy to recognize shelf, an easy recognize wedging table. And we could do that with similar forms, around the room or around your world, right? Take away some of the things, emphasize the most interesting element of the object. Now, I want to think of an example that is one that we could emphasize the shape of. And I'm thinking that this table over here, or this workbench over here, might be a good example. When I look at this in real life, the front of it, just not the junk on the top, but the front, I see all of these horizontal lines. Now, in real life, they're horizontal lines, and they have handles, and one of them's pulled out a little bit, and this one over here on the right is vertical, and this one over here, and there's magnets and stuff. But if I were going to draw this, I could really emphasize the horizontal lines, and I could represent this table as being entirely made of horizontal lines. I could essentially draw this part of the table, and the whole table would be represented as having only these close together horizontal lines, rather than having ones of different sizes or ones of different, orientation. And the table is kind of a boring example, but you could think of a similar thing when you're outside and you have a complicated tree. Or a building. So the building that you're looking at has a lot of different shapes and textures and stuff on it. Maybe you emphasize the ones that are most interesting and leave out the ones that are less so.